All right, here we go. 1 year.
1 year.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Digital to Dice podcast. I am Dave.
I'm Ron.
And it's 1 year.
Woohoo!
1 year of the Digital to Dice podcast. We started this back in July of 2019, and it's July of 2020 right now. And we're going to be doing a lot of talking about what's happened over the last year. We get some user comments to get to, all kinds of fun stuff here as we wrap up 1 year of the Digital to Dice podcast.
48 episodes over 1 year.
That ain't too bad. That means we only missed 3 or 4 weeks, right?
And I think 2 of those were for the holidays.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty amazing.
So, yeah, not too bad at all. So let me see. It's going to be a different show today because we are just going to be reminiscing about the last year and talking about some of the things that we've done and enjoyed. And
you know what we're playing, so
yeah, you know what we're playing pretty much. So we don't need to go over some of that. So we're going to have a different episode here on the 1 year anniversary. And
Becky, you weren't supposed to jump out of the cake just
well,
yet.
let's get in, Becky. Let's go.
Why is Aunt Becky holding a pineapple pizza?
Let's talk about the Aunt Becky right off the bat, shall we? That started. I don't even know how that started. I don't know what triggered you on that.
Play that sound effect again.
All right.
Now, that was the same similar deal that was played in every cutscene in every 80s family sitcom, whether it was Family Ties or The Cosby Show, which was more jazzy, or Full House, which is where Aunt Becky's from, or Growing Pains, anything like that, where you just kind of go from one scene, the transition from one scene to the next. And so I think first it was Kimmy, who played the bad girl on Full House.
Okay.
Who always tried to get the kids in trouble. But the woman that played Aunt Becky, Lori Loughlin, of course, got into the college bribery scandal early on in the show's run. Our show's run, not in that show's run. And so it was just easy to make the joke, which was, Kimmy, put away that cigarette, to Aunt Becky. That's not what you're supposed to do with the Uber driver, just that sort of thing. And so, yeah, so when it must have been maybe the first or second show when you played, I must have been Punch Tired or something like that. And it just kind of came out as Aunt Becky. Don't look at Uncle Jesse's search history like that.
And you did a couple of Happy Days things too, I think.
I wasn't, because it's basically the sitcom thing, and a lot like the pineapple pizza thing, which I'm really not sure how we got. Oh, I know how we got into that. It was just a throwaway line that people liked, and to come up with now close to 50 of those. I mean, 1 in every 4, I think is really funny. I don't think of them in advance. The one I did think of in advance, you told me not to do, and you were absolutely right not to do it. I mean, to do it. It was funny, but it really wasn't appropriate. And so it's like, you're doing the intro and going, what can I have her do this week?
It is tough coming out with one-liners every week,
Every week, absolutely.
50 of them, so.
Pineapple pizza thing came with, we always get, do you prefer A or B? And for me, gaming is whatever you like. It's like getting a pizza. You can have it with pepperoni, or you can eat the blessed thing with pineapple. I don't like pineapple, but it's not my place to tell you about pineapple. And you, the listener out there, kind of took that out on your own. And
it is funny, the split with pineapple pizza. There's people passionate on each side of this.
Is. It's the half pregnant thing. No one's on the fence about pineapple pizza.
It is weird when you think about it, because it's like, man, I mean, how can anybody be like, I like it, you know what I mean, and you hate it, and it's like there's no in between. There's no one that says I have it.
Sound appealing.
There's someone that says I have it once in a while. No, it's either you can never have it, it's illegal, or it's like I could eat 10 of them.
Yeah.
And so
the other one that we do, that I do the voice for, like the flashbacks, the dream sequence. What's your dream music? I'll take door number 3, Monty.
And what's that? Let's Make a Deal?
Kind of like Let's Make a Deal. And so you could have what's in my hand or what's behind curtain number 3. Like, oh, it's the year supply of creamettes. But, that's the same joke every time. But, you got a lot of, how many different things are on there? We've done rim shots.
There's like 6, I think. I could add more if I wanted to, but I just used the stock stuff that came with it.
You've got to be careful, too, because things get copyrighted.
Well, that's the thing. So I'm only using the stuff that came with it. So if I get in trouble, a lot of other people are getting in trouble as well,
I don't. We've already gotten in trouble for the Floby cat.
Yeah, the live show. That was funny. But, hey, before we get to anything else, we do want to say where we are located. We always forget to do that. DigitalToDice.com is our website, and that goes right to our Spreaker page where you can find all 48 now episodes up on our Spreaker page. Our text line is 978-751-DICE, 978-751-3423. And I did get a message today. Someone was having problems subscribing on iTunes, so I have to go see what's up with that.
Yeah, I'm not sure about.
I'd have to go look at that. That came in early this morning, so I want to go and see if there's an issue with that, because that's pretty much automatic right through Spreaker. That just goes right to iTunes and right to everything. And in fact, we went back and looked, and I think it was Apple was our number one listening tool.
Half of our subs are through Apple.
Yeah, and then it's a third on Spreaker, and then a third on YouTube or something like that.
There are some of you who still listen on Zune.
Yes, we have some people listening on the Zune.
Stunned.
Yeah. I don't even know if that's a thing anymore, but it must be for somebody. So if you're listening on Zune, we'd like to know who you are, because that's pretty cool, I think.
It'd be like listening on long-wave radio.
Yeah, I know. That's nice. So those are ways to get a hold of us. And
the Facebook group is closing in on 370, which I never thought would happen.
Yeah, Facebook.com/groups/digital-to-dice is where we are. That is growing by leaps and bounds. We get a lot of people posting their project, posting videos, and that's really fun to see how that's grown as well. So I guess why don't we just start from the beginning, Ron?
Okay. A year's supply of creamettes.
Who's got a fork in their pocket? Who's got a fork? I'm looking for a spoon. If you got a spoon, it's $100.
$25 for a paper clip. There you go.
Yeah, and people had all that stuff on them. That was great. So how this thing kind of started was, as you know, I made the jump from video games over to cards and dice games.
This was Dave's idea.
Yeah, I started about a year and a half ago. I think it was back in the spring or maybe a little before that. I was watching Ron and Al and everybody play the videos on YouTube, and I started picking up some of the games as well. And then at some point, again, I go back to Clinton Parks when he said he was playing his game, and he says he rolls his own dice when he plays his computer game, meaning he rolls a dice and enters it in. I forget what game it was. I think it was like
NP3 is what his primary game is.
Okay, so I think that, and I didn't know what that meant, and then I come to find out, you can roll dice and put it into the game. So, that's kind of cool. And then that just turned into me discovering some games with dice and strat hockey, and then shootout hockey. And once I got the handle of playing these games, because again, I hadn't played a dice game probably since I was a kid. Really, it's just everything's been video games since NHL '94 pretty much, and even before that. And so it was really weird rolling dice on the table again. It was a different thing, and I got used to reading the dice and, the whole 11 to 66, and there's no 27 or 28. That was just really weird for me because you don't think of that stuff. It's a base, It's a base 6, I guess it's called. Or whatever it is. And so it was really getting used to all that. And then, I had some fun, and I watched some people made some videos. So I learned how to play some games, and I made some of my own videos. And it was just, there's a lot of good games out there that don't have any love. And that was my thing, is that, I'm going to play some of these games that no one really knows and put up some videos. So I think they're good games. And so that's how I started. And Ron's doing his videos. And then in the summer, I said, I've been doing a digital to dice video show on my YouTube channel. It's kind of fun, but videos...
4 or 5, I think, and you just kind of sat out in the park or in your yard or once by the beach, and you just kind of, in 10-minute steps, you just kind of did your I don't know why I'm looking at the camera. It's an audio show. You just kind of went through your transition of how you went from playing the console games to a year ago, you were doing the quick play games. The first time you did anything strat was up at my place.
Yeah, and that was in the fall.
Labor Day week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So I was still doing the quick play games and enjoying them. And I think I just remember talking to you saying, do you think, I doing the videos and you're doing the videos and a whole bit, but I says, videos take a lot of bandwidth, watching, especially if you're on your phone or if you're sitting there on, if you're, in the train or whatever. If you're driving a car, you can't watch a video.
Right.
But I mean, what are you thinking about an audio show, a podcast? And we hemmed and hawed about what we were going to do and how it might work. And then we sat down and just did a couple of shows. And we didn't tell anybody, but we did a couple of shows. So we made sure that when we released it, we had at least 2 or 3 up on the site to listen to.
We did the 0-1.
Yep.
And I think it was the first one, Action PC Basketball.
I think that was 2. I think that was
2?
Yeah. I think we did 2 or 3 episodes quietly and put them up. So at least we had something to listen to. And when we judged the reaction of it, and it went pretty well, so we kept on just following that path. And I think the show pretty much stayed true to its original idea.
It's been very stable. What we've been unless we have a guest, and we try to give when we do have a guest on that we give them the most airtime. And so if they take an hour to be interviewed, that's the show. And so we don't really do what we've been playing and all that, but generally what we've been playing, the requisite Aunt Becky joke, as it turns out, and then go on to the topic at hand. And we haven't really talked about anything controversial gaming wise, but we've gone through, the demise of a couple games to your feedback. I mean, we're always looking for, topic ideas from you guys, and some of you have given us some real good ones over the years.
Yeah, no, it has. And so when I started the show, I wanted to keep it topic based, because I've done another show for 10 years or even longer now. And I'm part-time with the show, the other show. And they like to be news-based, and they like to be current in the whole bit. And I mean, that's great for that show because there's a lot more happening news-wise on a daily basis, and I just never kept up with it. So for me, I always enjoyed a show that talked about a topic. Now, whether it's a game, sometimes we'll pick a game, and I know we've done, I think, Action PC Basketball when it come out, and Action PC Golf. I mean, we picked a couple of games that just released, or maybe there's a game that I just discovered, and we talk heavily about that game.
Right.
But for the most part, I wanted the show to have a topic, because that's what I enjoy listening to, especially so if I'm listening to a hockey show and they're talking about great defensemen, it's a topic. If I listen to a video game show, it's like, hey, we're going to talk about some of the best endings in a video game, and I like that. So I like to have a topic, so I wanted to always keep the show on topic, except if it was having a guest on or if we picked a certain game.
This is the 6th or 7th show that I've hosted or co-hosted since 2005. So I've been doing this podcast thing for a while. And the one thing you always kind of like writing, when I wrote for Bleacher Report and wrote for the National or covered the National, the one thing that they would try to drill in your head is write about something that you yourself would read. And so when you pitched the idea of doing a show, my eyes rolled and like, no, I don't really want to do this again. But, one of the things that I pitched to you early on is, I want them to be kind of timeless, not in the sense that we're so good that the shows are timeless, but the fact that you could pick up something that we did last October. Now, what we're playing that week is kind of dates itself, but as you said, the one topic that you could listen to something that we did last summer and it would still be relevant this summer or maybe relevant 2 summers from now.
Right.
And I think we've done that. I think we've done a very good job of that. Even the interviews, I don't think, hopefully people are still, the people we interviewed are still with us and still making games, but whatever it is that they wanted to feature is still out there and available.
Right.
And so those don't date themselves.
Yeah. And I remember when I first pitched the idea to you, I said, my idea being is that I just want to continue the Digital to Dice video series, but as an audio series, because I think audio, it's a lot less to download. You can listen to it while riding in the car. You can listen to it while you're out, walking the dog or jogging or working out. There's so many more ways you can listen to this with a video show, though, you don't always have to watch it. Sometimes you can have a good video show that's a talk show, and I listen to videos while I walk, and I don't watch them. But
you did your support thing last night. I didn't watch. I listened. I was doing something else.
But for the most part, I said there's a lot of the video stuff that you're watching people play games, and you need to focus on what they're doing, especially if you're trying to learn how to play a game. Whereas, a topic-based show that was audio, you wouldn't need to watch. So I says, what do you think? Do you think that would go over well? I think it would be easier listening, easier to download, less, like I say, audio is a heck of a lot less to download than video. And so that's what we talked about. And the eye roll, I remember you doing the eye roll. And I remember when we first talked, it says, you don't have to be a full-time guy in the show. I says, but I'm thinking about doing this as a podcast, so feel free to come on as much as you want. And I think after we did the 3 or 4 shows, the feedback was just better.
Yeah, I was blown away by the feedback. I also was blown away that no one had ever really tried to do this before. It's not like podcasting is a new medium.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember went out and I bought this new mixing board that has all the sound effects on it and the music I put on there. I spent over $600 on that thing last summer so we could sound good. And so Ron's got his new microphone here, and I have my good microphone with my mixing board. So we wanted to focus on quality of the audio because I've listened to some shows, not in the gaming world, but just other stuff. And it sounds like they're recording in a closet with all kinds of echo and noise, and one guy's too loud, and it's just. I mean, we get the occasional dog bark or fire alarm on the show because it just happens when we're recording at home. But I one of the things I says I want a quality sounding show, and I want to have some good things to talk about. Yeah. And we've kind of stayed true to that, and I think it was just after a few episodes that you just kept. When I says I'm going to record today, you want to come on, and you kept saying yeah, and then at some point it was just you just had committed to the show, and at the beginning, I wasn't sure how many shows you wanted to do.
I wasn't either. I had done a show with a guy that wanted to record 3 or 4. Oh, goodness gracious, we're doing 2 a day. Oh. And that was too much.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, let it breathe. And so I wasn't quite sure how often. Once a week is fine. And then it's been great. It's been really good.
And it's fun because you do it the once a week. We put out the show. We get the feedback. We play our own games. We see what other people are playing. It inspires us. We inspire you. And we come back each week with something new to talk about.
There's never a shortage. And I think you worried about back last July and August that we'd run out of topics. And I honestly think that we barely scratched the surface of things that we can talk about.
Yeah, because I wrote down 25 or 30. I said, well, that'll get us 25 shows. And then after that, what? But it's just every week we seem to find something, or something happens in the community, or we get an email from somebody, or somebody plays a certain game, or something comes up that it's just like, boy, this would be something good to talk about.
Right. And we try to figure out a topic that we can get a good half hour out of back and forth. And I'm the veteran gamer, 30 years at this. I don't feel like I'm old enough to be doing anything for 30 years, but I am. And you are really going into your second year of card dice gaming. And so we always try to make sure that with a topic that Dave understands what it is that's being talked about. And sometimes you've done homework to do that. And things that Dave has come up with, like, wow, one of the things that we talked about, I think, turned into something on the air from an off-the-air conversation was you were playing strat hockey, and you had Bobby Orr had the puck, lost the puck 5 cards in a row or something like that.
Yeah,
and you were furious. And I said, whoa, because some games are not as well designed as others. And I said, well, wait a minute. That's a Stratomatic is a highlight game. That's a 40-second flip. It takes 5 to 6 seconds, or maybe 4, in Orr's case, to rush up the ice. He loses it 5 times in a row. He starts to play, and there wasn't a shot opportunity that came out of those 5 shots.
Yeah, and that was when you said that, and that has resonated with me throughout every game I played since then, because that was about a year ago, I think.
About September, about last September.
And I was playing on the PC is what it was. And I remember having I might have been live, but I was like, man, I'm getting frustrated here. It's like, Bobby, you're the best defenseman ever, and he keeps losing the puck to the St. Louis Blues. I'm like, what's going on here? And then we talked off air, and you said that's a 40-second span. And a couple of the listeners actually said that too, and they were like, don't don't think of it as, or at least in the Stratomatic game, we're talking Stratomatic,
Right.
don't think of it as Orr lost the puck. Think of it as the puck went to Orr, and a whole bunch of things happened during that 40-second span, and the other team ends up with the puck. So you don't take it as a direct Orr turns the puck over. It's just he could have, but
has a bad day,
yeah, but Orr started with the puck, and maybe he fed a pass and it hit a skate, or maybe somebody took a pass and lost it, or there was a poke check or something. But the end result of that 40 seconds was the other team has the puck. And when I thought about it that way, I was like, boy, that does make a lot of sense, because you're not going pass by pass in this game. And so that made a lot of sense. And so, so there's been a lot of learning along the way for me being new. And one of the things that I think is fun about the show is where I am still very new at it, and I'm still learning, and Ron's the veteran. So we have a new and an old here, and I lean on him for a lot of his his experience with the games, because I'm new, but I sometimes bring a fresh attitude where it's
Sure.
someone that's playing the game for 20, 25 years, and I come in after 2, I see things a little bit different than someone who's been at it for a long time.
And the other thing is that I have probably played more different game. What's the proper word? I've played more games of different sports or whatever in the last year than I probably have played in the last 25, between the quick play games that we've tried out, because we've had those people on the channel, and games that other people have recommended, and videos that we've watched, and all that, and come up with different project ideas. I mean, who would have ever thought that I would have played a gymnastics game? I mean, that's
right.
I know that we're going to talk about that not on this show, but in future shows. Like, oh my God, really?
Yeah. Let's talk about that. So, just looking back at the last year, some of the things that we've personally been a part of over the last year, just because of the community, and the community pushes me to do things, and
Yes.
and I know you get pushed, and I mean in a good way. Like I started off just with some WordPad stuff when I did some of my videos, and then I get into Excel, and let me tell you, I've gotten pretty good at Excel. And I don't mean to pat my own back, and I don't mean to think I could be an Excel master by any means, but from what I knew about Excel spreadsheets before this to what I know now about how I can manipulate the thing and make the spreadsheet look nice, and add graphics and color and formulas, I couldn't do that before I started the gaming stuff, and doing the show, because now I'm pushing myself for better graphics and so better videos. So I've really learned Excel, and I've watched videos on it and read articles. So I've improved just my overall skill set in my life is that I could walk into an office now and probably do some Excel stuff if I had to. And the same with PowerPoint. I started PowerPoint like about a week or so ago, and I'm loving PowerPoint more than I ever loved Word or anything like that. And I've done some really nice, I think they're really nice looking PowerPoint presentations that I presented my games with.
Yeah.
And it's something I never, ever would have thought about using in my life. So here's 2 programs that are used every day by a lot of people that I've never used, that I've only learned because I've been gaming.
Yeah. You talked about the PowerPoint, and I figured out how to do tables within, after I sat and ate. It's always good to do that on a full stomach. Don't sit there and try to learn anything on an empty stomach, because if you mess it up, then your patience kind of goes,
Yeah.
Oh, man, this equipment gets too expensive to chuck out Windows and stuff like that. And I'm not talking about the Microsoft Windows either. But you're absolutely right. I think that we've taken a lot more risks as gamers, and a lot more of an open mind on things as people go, no, try your broccoli here. Try your broccoli here. Okay, I like the cheese sauce. I'll eat it. But yes, because a lot of these things, a lot of these games are, you can have fun with them, and they're all about, sports gaming at this level is all about your imagination. It's all about I've said this time and time again, it's choose your own adventure stories. And it doesn't really matter in your mind if you're playing at the Boston Garden or the backyard rink that your favorite uncle built when you were 8 years old. It's wherever your comfy spot is. And so there are some games that I play and that Dave plays, it's one or two rolls and it's done. And so how do you turn that into something that you'd want to share? Or Dave has done some great experimenting. We talked about this, I think, on the last show. Karlamov, Tretiak, and who was the third?
Mikhailov.
Put them on the Bruins, thinking the Bruins would be world beaters, and guess what?
It hasn't made them any better.
And I'm honestly surprised about that too. But then again, it kind of creates the whole story. If you take a look at the mid-'70s Bruins with Don Cherry, he'd be lapping that up with biscuits. Oh yeah, the Russians aren't any better than us.
Yeah.
Look, I got 3 of them. They're not, and that just the whole thing. My channel in about 6 weeks starts its 3rd full season.
Wow.
It's hard to believe that this is the end of year 2 for me, since I left Fansided. But yeah, I'm going to do an Olympic replay, for crying out loud. And that's largely because of the show, because take a look at this game. Okay. Oh, wow. This is actually fun.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it's kind of pushed, as you said, you guys out there push us to try new stuff. And there's a lot of, or new to us stuff anyway, and there's a lot of it that's good.
What I think it's nice is it kind of fills in some of the gaps, because you got the Delphi forums that's been around for a long time, and you learn a lot of stuff there.
I've been a member there 20 plus years.
Yeah, and you got and I've only been there, like I say, about a year or two. I'm still new to all this. Yeah. And then you got your Facebook groups, and people go there, and so I think rounding that out with a podcast, with an audio show that you can actually listen to, and it's more interactive. I don't say more interactive, but it's just you get to listen to people talking about it rather than trying to read everything.
Well, it's easier also when you're working with someone. You do solo stuff and I do solo stuff, and it's okay to stare in the camera and talk and then wait for the comments to go on. But it's easier to sit there and host a show with someone else and go back and forth.
Yeah. So I just think that, adding that, the podcast into the mix, we've had we have a really good growing community around the show. It definitely bleeds over into Delphi and the Facebook quite a bit. But again, it's allowed us to find a lot of new games, and it's allowed us to show a bunch of new games to other people. Again, this whole lockdown thing, as bad as it was, I wouldn't have discovered the Roberto Schiavini games if it wasn't for that. And I think it was actually one of the listeners that posted he was playing Kill the Power Play, and I said, I think I have that and never played it.
Right.
And I went back and played it, and I loved it. And next thing you know, we're investigating more of his games, and then more people, in the Facebook group are talking about it, and the listeners of the show, they're commenting on the podcast about it, and now a lot of people are playing the Roberto Schiavini games now, and they're really, really fun. The same thing.
Well, your thing with regular season basketball video you just kind of found it by accident, and the company linked you.
Yeah, I found that. Looking for a basketball game, I found that one there, and I got it in, and I did like I say, almost like a video review of it. I really liked it. They liked the video. I was pretty honest in my video about what I liked and didn't like, and they put it up on their page, and it's my, as of right now, it's my number 2 video on YouTube. Behind one of the guitar reviews I did several years ago. And so we met at least over email and Facebook, Roberto and Marco from the games, and we become Facebook friends with these people, and people are playing their games, and that's great. I like to see that, because these are fun games.
They are.
That need to see that. I'm glad that we could help show off, and I'm glad that someone dropped the bug in our ear, and we used our platform to say, hey, we found some games here that are pretty fun. And even with the shootout hockey, which has always been my favorite, there's a lot of people playing that now in the middle of the summer, and they're sharing their projects, and so there's been a lot of positives here, and it's given us the chance to branch out and try new things. It really has, and we get to share them on the show. And yes. But it's a two-way street. is what I'm trying to get at, is that, I might play regular season basketball and say, hey, check this out, and people play it and they love it. But someone might say, hey, Dave, go check out this. It was the Ultra Quick Wrestling, someone said. Dave, go try Ultra Quick Wrestling. And I did it, and it's awesome. And I have my own federation set up, and I bought a few seasons. And so it's a nice two-way street where we're recommending games to each other, and we're trying things out that we wouldn't, and other people are trying things out that they wouldn't. And so it's been fun to see over the last year how many different games we're all playing now, and how much fun we're having with all the games. So
absolutely.
So let's get to some of the listener comments here. Again, we did set up a PayPal and a Venmo to try to raise some money to offset the cost for the next year, and you guys come through huge. I'll throw out the things one last time in case somebody would want to donate that hasn't yet, but we've got a lot of people that contributed to the show to help us keep going.
Thank you.
Because, again, we use two services. We use Spreaker and we use StreamYard, one to record the show, one to host the show. And we also will do live on StreamYard as well. So that, again, the monthly cost was more than I thought it was when I finally added it up, and I'm still out of work 4 months later. And so it was great that you guys helped out, so I don't have to pay it all out of my own pocket. But if you wanted to, again, chip into the show one last time on PayPal.
Yeah, it won't do you any good to show it on the screen since it's an audio show, dude.
But it gives me the link to read, though.
Okay.
Thank you so much, though. Yeah. So on PayPal, it's if you go to paypal.me, paypal.me/IceHog, ICEHOG. I don't think you can search IceHog. A couple people tried to, but if you just type in paypal.me/IceHog, that goes right place you can donate. And on Venmo, we had a couple of people on Venmo. It's at Dave-Gardner-44, at Dave-Gardner-44 on Venmo. And so a lot of you have already contributed. Thank you so much. We are going to keep this going for another year. It is fantastic. And so what we wanted to do is a lot of people left comments. We're not going to read names with the comments, but I will read some of the comments, and some are long and some are short. But let me read some of those as we go through here. So the first one is just keep it going. This person donated on Venmo. He said, keep it going. Thank you so much. Dave and Ron, thanks for a great show. Keep up the good content. I look forward to it each week. Here's to another great year. Thanks. So those are some of the ones that come over on Venmo. And now if I go over to PayPal, let me call up some of those and just read some of those comments here. The first one is... Thanks for the podcast and Facebook group. You've gotten me back into cards and dice gaming, and I'm happy to help. So thank you so much. That was a nice comment there. An anonymous Seals fan donated to the show. I think we have a lot of Seals fans. Another one, keep on.
We found all three of you on the East Coast for sure.
Yeah, right. Keep on keeping on and roll away was another comment that we got. So thank you so much. A great podcast. I watch all the YouTube videos I can watch that you and Ron create. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much for that. Let's see. Thanks. I really enjoy you and Ron's podcast and YouTube videos. So, again, another comment. Thank you so much. Digital to Dice podcast. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much. Not only anonymous support for Digital to Dice. Thank you so much. Love the show, guys. Hope this helps. There's someone else that wrote in. And let's see. You guys are an awesome team.
We try.
Except Dave's my favorite. No, he didn't write that. You guys are an awesome team. I have enjoyed every podcast. That is not something I can say about the rest of the podcasts out there. Peace to you, gents, during these crazy times.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was so nice to say. Help with the podcast here. You guys feel like old friends when I listen. Love the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I like your podcast. Your hobby is my hobby. Please keep your efforts alive. So, again, another person helping out with the show. Nice work with the podcast. Here's a donation towards helping you guys keep it going for another year. Thank you so much. Love your show. This is a good one. Listen to this one. Love your show. Me and my 19-year-old daughter started a podcast during this lockdown, partly inspired by you guys. So if you're listening to this episode, and you know who you are, what is your podcast? I'd like to know what
send me the name of that person off in an email.
Yeah, I will. And I'd like to know what you guys are doing for the podcast. So that's fantastic. Let's see if I have any more comments here going down the line.
Hopefully not by the flow of your cat.
Dave and Ron, here is some financial help to continue the podcast from which I get so much enjoyment. Best wishes. Thank you so much. And that was from someone who actually sent us an email that we responded to, and he had some issues with the show. But but I think we had a good conversation with that gentleman. Yep.
The general piece of advice was have more guests on, and Dave and I have started to work on having more guests on. I think you're going to like who we're trying to reach out to get that. And if you're a game maker or a big mucky muck, we'd love to hear from you so we can interview you. But there's a couple that we have in the works for the start year 2.
Yep. Enjoy the podcast and videos very much. So, they kind of go hand in hand. The podcast and then some of our videos, they kind of go hand in hand a little bit.
I mean, when we did the nightly support chat, they were pretty much daily versions of Digital Dice at times.
Yeah, they kind of were. Yep. Hi, I get a lot of enjoyment out of the podcast. I had no idea how much it took to keep things going, so I thought I'd chip in a small amount. I appreciate all the work you and Ron put into this. So, and I was surprised, too. When I sat down and looked at the bills come in, I was like, oh, my gosh, Ron, what do we do here? Another one here to support the Digital Dice podcast. Keep up the good work. For the podcast, I enjoy it. And I'm trying to think if I have any more comments here as I'm wrapping up.
We're glad that you all enjoy the show. It really does mean a lot to us.
Thanks, Dave and Uncle Ron, for your great discussions. Love the content and your personalities. Now, don't go spending this donation on pineapple pizza.
Trust me.
I might.
That's not something you're ever going to find on the Vermont end of the show.
Another one here. Keep up the great work with the donation. And let's see. Oh, boy. Here's one here. It's a long one here. Okay, I'll read this one. Hi from New Zealand, Dave and Ron.
Okay.
Okay, a small contribution to help the podcast. Dave, I've been listening to you on the Game Hounds for about 5 years. That was my video game show. And I remember about a year ago when you mentioned tabletop dice and card sports games, and I was immediately hooked. Since then, I have picked up Strat Baseball, Payoff Pitch, History Maker Baseball, Status Pro Baseball, Action PC Golf, Precision Sports Rugby, Daring Races, and Glory Days Boxing.
Anthony's game, which is wonderful.
Yeah, these games have brought me a great deal of joy, and I want to thank you both for the podcast, which I've listened to every single episode. From the other side of the world, I want you to know that you are very much appreciated and wish you all the best in many more years of the podcast.
Thank you.
And then he kind of goes off the rail here a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
This is an Aunt Becky joke coming here? Or?
He says, P.S. Go Yankees, boo Red Sox. Did you write that? You wrote that, didn't you?
Oh, seriously, yes. Oh, absolutely. I drove to New Zealand in my chair, personally, to bash my own Red Sox. I'm masochistic and all.
Oh, too funny.
What kind of Red Sox fan do you think I would be?
Another one here. Dave and Ron, keep up the great work. I love not only how you feature the great games and great things about our hobby, but you bring to life the joy we all feel when we play these games. Best wishes. And that's what it's about. It really is. It's about the joy of the game. It really is. It's really about, talking about the games and enjoying it, and that's really where we are with this. So I want to thank everybody for the feedback. I think I got it all. If I miss one, I'm sorry if I missed any. But I think that's everything there for the people that wrote in who helped keep the show alive for another year. Now I do have some other feedback here. I put something on our Digital Dice Facebook group, and I just said, if anything you'd like to say. So I'll read a few of these. Let's see. On the podcast, it's good to target one specific subject per show. He says sometimes he loses track when things get mashed up. Yeah, sometimes we try to stay on topic, and then something comes up and we go on a tangent. I think that's just kind of normal podcast banter.
Who we are, but no, I really do think it's important. If we get talking about best dice towers or something like that, that we don't get off into stories about how we used to play blip in elementary school. That just doesn't work.
Yeah, it sometimes happens, but we do try to stay on topic. So yeah,
right.
Generally I really like the format, especially when you start with 10 minutes or so in your current projects before the main course. And I like that in other shows. That's why I incorporate it into my show. Is because when I listen to somebody, I want to know what they're doing, and I want to see if they're playing anything that I should know about. And so that I always thought that first 5 or 10 minutes about what we're playing was a big part of who we are, what we're doing.
Absolutely.
And so
absolutely. And because you don't want to watch or listen to a show where we're going to dictate to you how to do something or topic. Well, what do you guys do? Well, we participate in the hobby just like you do. And so you may only play X, Y, and Z, but we might do this, and we're going to talk about what we're showing off over the course of a week, and generally in a positive way, and whatever it is. I mean, sometimes people like Mario Mendoza hit walk-off homers, or sometimes you get tackled for a walk-off safety, and all that. And I think it just kind of gives us I think it just makes a better show, just like you said.
Yeah, and he also says, I think it'd be good if you had a guest every 3 to 4 shows, game developers and players from around the world, new and old. I really like to hear stories of how others get into the hobby, favorite games, etc. And he'd like a game review section, pros and cons of different games.
And find more of those, not necessarily on the show, but on our own individual YouTube channels.
Yeah, so he just liked that there. And yeah, I mean, I can see how you'd want some game reviews, but that's tough because what we wanted to do when we do the show, we wanted to do an overall view of gaming is what it was. And we didn't want to specifically talk about individual games too much, we do sometimes, but we didn't want it to be a review show. Like Ron says, our individual channels on YouTube, we tend to talk more about that. But yeah, as far as the show,
if there's a game that we don't like, we're not going to trash it. It's just not who we are.
Yeah, we're not going to come on here and say this is terrible. We just might not talk about it. I might just say we tried it and it wasn't for us or something. But we talked about that a couple of shows ago when we answered an email. Is that we're not going to sit here and just slice a game apart. That's just not that's not what the show's about. Neither if we don't like a game, we're certainly not going to recommend it. But we might just say it's not for us and move along or something like that. But I think you can tell the games we play a lot are the games we really enjoy playing. So I see somebody else says maybe you can give a quick ranking of your hockey games. I think that I might do a whole 3-hour show on that, Ron, talking about all my favorite hockey games.
Please break that into 27 different videos.
I know there's so many.
Them all on the same day.
That's the thing when I started this. I remember. I think when we even started the show, I was like, Ron, I probably have 20 different cards and dice hockey games. I have more cards and dice hockey games than I have video game hockey games, or at least newer stuff, I should say. I mean, if I go back through time, I have more video game hockey games. But I was shocked at how many hockey games I have on the tabletop. And well, maybe someday I'll rank through them. Somebody else says, I like to see many more interviews with game developers and gamers who play one particular game frequently. So almost like someone that really knows what they're talking about. Yeah. So I see that too. They can talk about what goes into game design and how the game works out, unique features and strengths of the particular game. So yeah, I agree with that. I think we should have some more people on the show.
One of the things that we've had happen over the course of the first year is that we've been in touch with many game developers, and it really is a lot of mom and pop and grandma situations there, right. And trying to get a coordinator with them is difficult. But as we go into year 2 and we've built up a listener base, there are people who I think will now talk to us that might not wanted to talk to us before.
Yeah, and we had talked about that when we started the show, that we might need to be at this for 6 months to a year before we get on the radar, so to speak. So someone else says, I kind of like it as it is. I throw perhaps a segment covering baseball games with Major League Baseball apparently returning. Jeez, I don't know if they're going to be returning or not.
They're coming back.
That's the other thing. Someone asked, will there be cake in year 2? Because he really likes cake. I'm wondering the same thing. You got that new 13-in-1 oven thing. Is that going to make a cake?
Not that I'm going to share.
No? Oh,
I'm still waiting for the Christmas cookies.
Yeah. Well, we packaged those up with that new banner that you ordered. So
that's stuck in eBay limbo too, huh?
That's too bad. I know that stinks about that.
I think what happened is I think it got sent, and the poor guy sent it parcel, and so there's no tracking number.
That's still been a long time, though.
And I waited a long time, and someone was cracking jokes about me not paying that and doing that on their support channel show last night.
Someone did kind of accuse you of having a big fish story about this banner.
And so in the process, I knew I had to do that, and it had been long enough. And like I said, I don't think I was intentionally ripped off or anything like that. But, and so in the process of me being accused of buying a fake banner or faking buying the banner, I sent what's the deal here? And somebody, I won't mention any names, Gardner, CJ, accused me of faking the email. That really I had nothing better to do on a Sunday night than to create a fake email. Really? Yes, the loser horns are for yourself.
Anyway, so along with cake, somebody wanted to know if there's going to be pineapple pizza, and sometimes I like pineapple pizza.
Somebody posted a picture on our group and Facebook a couple weeks ago of a broccoli mint pineapple pizza.
Oh, I know that was bad. It looked like it was just like algae on a pizza.
It looked like something that you would have left on the counter for about 3 days.
3 weeks, maybe, yeah.
The third week on the bender.
Oof, it was bad. It was bad. One last comment here. Would be good to know your favorite games of the past year. Yeah, I think maybe
how about maybe your favorite game that you discovered?
Yeah, either that. Yeah, we're going to get to that in 1 second. Yes, I'm thinking about either favorite games or games you discovered, or maybe favorite gaming moments. Like I said, we're going to get to our personal recap of what happened over the last year in 1 second. We just wanted to get some of the listener comments here. Let me see if I have any more comments here. Let me see. Congratulations, guys. Been enjoying the podcast a lot. And congrats on 1 year. Love this podcast so much is what I had here. And I think that wraps it up. I hope I didn't miss anybody. If I did, I do apologize. I'm kind of doing this seat in my pants right here as I click on a few things. But, so why don't we do that? Why don't we turn our attention to us personally, maybe some of the games that we discovered, some of the games that we played, some of our favorite gaming moments. But we do need to put in a stinger, so hang on a sec.
Okay. Is that a cigarette, Kimmy? Oh.
You remember, we talked about this on the Brady Bunch. I saw Greg smoking a cigarette. Remember that episode? Oh, my gosh. The cigarettes fell out of his jacket. Yeah. Oh, the 70s. To bring back the simplicity of the 70s when a cigarette was the biggest thing we had to worry about. So anyway, so let's take a look at the last year of our personal gaming and things we talked about on the show. Maybe games that we discovered, games that surprised us in the whole bit. And then maybe some of our favorite gaming moments. Okay. And again, let me just preface this and just, I'm speaking for myself and probably for Ron too. These are just games that we enjoy playing. It doesn't mean other games are not as good. Okay, it doesn't mean other games stink. This is just stuff that we, for whatever reason, we enjoy playing and get a lot of enjoyment out of. So if we don't mention your game or your favorite game, don't take it all. Don't be upset is what I'm saying. This is just our personal preference. Like I say, Ron doesn't like pineapple pizza. I do, and it's the same with video games. It's going to like different things. So I guess for me, is one of the constants has been the shootout hockey game. That was probably my first game that I played before I even started the show, and that continues to be one of my go-to games for hockey, shootout hockey. In fact, I just did a 69-70 playoff replay where I replayed the entire playoffs. The Bruins got bounced in the first round of the Rangers, and it was the Rangers taking on St. Louis, and they went 7 games, Ron. 7-game series. After playing everything out, the finals went 7 games. That was epic. That was fun. And just to continue on to that, my 72 Summit Series replay, we're using the homebrew cards. That was created on the Delphi forums that were shared with everybody. Okay, so everybody knows that they were shared. They weren't official cards, but I did all 8 games of the Summit Series in 1972, and boy, that was another one of my favorite moments of it.
Canada waiting to get on the plane during the third period.
Oh man, you felt it was one of those you felt. You just they did okay in Canada, and then they get out to Russia, and they were just exhausted in game 1. They stole a game out there, but then they got beat up really bad in Russia, and it was really fun to see. And again, like Ron said, I said, Ron, game 8 came, and they gave up 5 goals in the third period or whatever it was, and it just felt like they just wanted to get on the plane and go home at that point.
What, tied at the end of 2?
It was close, and then the Russia just poured it on at the end, and it was a very interesting series how that played out. And I'll never forget that. That was a good one. I did a whole recap show on my YouTube channel because that blew me away. That replay blew me away at how good it was and how I felt like I could hear the crowd chanting. And then, when somebody got a 5-minute major, that's what it was. Esposito got a 5-minute major. Russia couldn't score. And then the first minute out of the box, Esposito scored. And I was like, I could see Esposito scoring the goal and like looking right at the referee after he scored the goal, because he's like, he had the 5 minutes he sat and he came out and he scored a goal. And just little moments like that in that replay. So what are some of your fun moments?
Gosh, I think enjoying the quick play games that you just don't, the fast look at them is okay. It gives you a score and there might be a little bit of detail there. But the tension that some of those games have brought. First 100-meter dash I did was the 84 Summer Olympics. And, rolling the die, and Carl Lewis lost, but the winner nailed the exact time. I think gold and bronze were the exact time. Like, oh, okay. I kind of get it now. Or the clutch rolls in a hockey game. And so watching a team that steal a victory from the jaws of defeat. Having, after my first season of football replay, the second one, having 2 different teams in the Super Bowl. Having the Patriots and the 49ers. And having the Patriots upset the 49ers. I didn't expect that in a million years. Having that happen. The occasional great baseball game, we joked about the Mario Mendoza home run. But sharing those experiences with you guys out there, live, and everyone's on a wire and no one knows what's going to happen next, that sort of thing, playing around with new stuff, stretching what I thought I could do with that. You talked about Excel. We do a lot of things with Excel and now the PowerPoint, I think those sort of things and the new contacts and friends that we've made over the last year. I mean, yes, there's been a lot of games. There's been an awful lot of games, and not all of it's been good. To have the football one kind of get torpedoed because the database corrupted, that wasn't a highlight for me at all. But to see the community grow, I think is what I'm going to take away from the first year. And the fact that we've made friends with game designers.
And there are a lot of them in our Facebook group as well, and we actually talk to them regularly. And what's nice too is that you got the people that have made the quick play games. Like I said, Roberto Schiavini, the quick play games, and was it Michael Owens that did
Michael Owens,
yeah,
Mike Sealock.
Yeah, Mike Sealock's in there as well, and we love his game. Monaco with regular season basketball, which can be it's not a quick play game, it's more of a medium play game. But what is really fun about that is that we talk to all these people regularly in our groups and in other groups, but we also talk to them about other games too, and that's what I enjoy too. Is that we'll do something and they'll chime in on a different game, and so none of the game designers, but they're gamers. as
Yes.
well. And that's what's fun is that when you see them chime in on a different game I'm playing, like if I play a hockey game and Marco chimes in on the hockey game, I think that's great, because when they can talk about something besides the stuff that they make. And so, so we've met a lot of great people. They're part of the group. Not only do we talk about their game, but we talk about other games with them. And that's what I think it's all about, is that right there.
I mean, it's a very good community of people who deeply care about the sport, about sports, and for the game creators, about the games they create, that they want to be able to give you out there the best possible experience in whatever it is.
Yep.
And I said this a year ago. In fact, I said this to Al Red Sox fan a year and a half ago. This is the golden age of sports simulation and gaming. There's just so much. You said you have 20 hockey games. I have no idea how many baseball games I have. I don't know how many baseball games I had the 1978 season from. This is it, because information is so easy to get, and math is math. If you're halfway decent with math, you can create a game. It is not just, and the fact that some of it because of the lockdown, and some of it is because these games are fun.
Mm-hmm.
That, although I think we're all older, I think there are more people playing this stuff than ever before.
But it is fun, looking back, and and I have to add another one to that list, which has come in the last month or so for me. Was that History Maker Golf from Play?
You had a great time with that.
Oh my gosh, it's I watched a lot of videos on that, and I tried to figure it out, and it looked okay, and it wasn't until I put it down in front of me and actually played it that I realized what they were trying to do with that game. And there was a lot of great videos out there that helped me out to learn how to play this game, but it wasn't until I actually played it whereas I figured out how fun it really was. And that's another one that's just that popped up out of nowhere, and immediately I took to that game and enjoyed it so much. And and I enjoy a lot of the golf games. I still like the Digging Deep Golf. I haven't played that in a while, but that was one I did enjoy as well. I grabbed that before they went out of business. The Roberto Schiavini, the player of the Heroes of the Majors golf game he's got. I played that the other day. I played 1994. I took 5 or 6 golfers and ran hole by hole for all 4 days and come out with a winner, and that was fun seeing how that played out. So there's a lot of things I've discovered along the way, and that's probably my favorite thing is the variety of the games, and I talk about that all the time, variety and options. I can sit down, and if I have the time to bang out a 4 or 5 hour tournament with History Maker Golf, or I can sit down with Action PC Golf and play for 15 to 20 minutes and just go through something and just click the mouse. Or I can play a quick play from Schiavini or from Downey Games. They got a really good player of the game golf game. I like that. There's people in our group that are playing that right now. That's a fun game too. And so it's fun that sometimes you sit there and say, what am I going to play today? Let me play something I haven't played in a while. Just, because you have our favorites. But it's always fun to play something a little bit different off the wall. And
I guess the moment that, the actual gaming moment that made me emotional, I forgot because that was within the last year, was having the Expos win the World Series.
Yeah, that was cool.
To have them not only win the division, and at least in my 82 replay, but to sweep the Dodgers.
Yeah.
To get to the World Series. And I never expected them to beat Baltimore in the World Series, and they did. They won it in 6. And it's like, first of all, one of the early shows we did was slaying that dragon, slaying that long-term project. And just to have that and it be done, and to have, it would have meant everything to that franchise to have won that championship. In a hockey town, and I'm a Canadiens fan, but, in a hockey town, for the Expos to have won that, I bet they would still be in Montreal today. It made that much of a difference. Just to have, in a real-life example, when Seattle beat the Yankees in 95, it kept the Mariners in Seattle. It got them the new stadium. And so I can't imagine what it would have done to Montreal if they had done that. And so, and the cool thing was the Nationals won the World Series last year.
Yeah, it all tied in.
And so it kind of all tied in. So when I get to my World Series in about 6, 7, 8 weeks, 9 weeks, I wonder if it'll be the same thing again. Can we do that? That was kind of fun. So that, I think, personally was the gaming moment that meant most to me, was to have the Expos win the World Series.
Yeah, that was. I remember you doing that. We did a show right after, and we talked about it. It was, it was a good time for you. Good time, and that's what it's about. It's about our gaming, our fun moments, things that we remember forever. And it's just, and somebody said, I remember going in. I ran into the bedroom one night, and screaming at the wife, "You wouldn't believe what just happened!" And she's like, "Oh, that's nice, dear." So I gotta go post this on Facebook. This is the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen in my life. But we have those moments that are special to us, and we have this podcast here to share it with you, and you can share your stuff with us, and also in the Facebook group. And that's what it's all about. It's having a good time, enjoying what we do, and that's what the podcast has always been about. We've tried to keep it a positive show. That's why you don't see us really doing a lot of negative reviews here. Is just we want to keep it positive. We're not going to suck up to anybody just for sucking up to anybody. But we do we just want to keep this and talk fun things about this hobby, because there's so much fun to talk about with this, and I think we've kind of done that for the first year.
Yes.
So anyway, so we can wrap things up here as we conclude our 1 year anniversary show here on the Digital to Dice podcast. I guess we have to
promise 48 shows for next year, but
we were surprised. When we talked, we figured we'd probably miss 5 or 10 weeks for one reason or another, holidays and sickness and stuff like that. But it's just kind of worked out. We've pretty much hit it spot on with a weekly show, and we know we try to be consistent with releasing the shows. We used to release it on a Friday for the weekend, but now we're releasing it on Mondays because it really depends on what's going on in our lives. And we appreciate you guys sticking through that we're not on a certain day schedule. We try to be, but we were supposed to record yesterday, which was Sunday, and things happened with me and with Ron. And I don't even think we talked at all yesterday at all.
We didn't. 7 o'clock, I'm finished dinner, and Gardner's on. Gardner's doing a support chat.
Yeah, I did my support chat last night, because I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get to it tonight, but so I did that last. So it just kind of happens. But so we want to say thank you for sticking with us. And I know the schedules, it's not a set schedule, so to speak, but we do try to get one out a week at some point during the week. Sometimes it'll be 2 a week if we do one on Monday and then one on Friday and whatever. But we've enjoyed doing the show. We've tried to keep the quality of the show up. Now that we've had a year under our belt, I think we can actually get some more people on the show as far as guests and interviews, developers, and the whole bit. Because we have a year, like I say, year's worth of shows to look back on. We're not a new show by any means, and we have a lot of people listening right now. And so I imagine if we approach some people, they might have said, "Yeah, I've heard of that. Let's do it." So we do have some guest lines up, and more topics and more fun, and I hope year 2 is as good as better as year 1. So any final thoughts from you?
It's been a wonderful year, and thanks to all of you out there for your support. It really does mean a lot.
Yeah, it does. The nice notes, and even the people that criticize us a little bit, they've been very fair, and they've been very nice in their criticism.
Yes.
You just didn't come on and say you guys are jerks or whatever. It's just like you approached us with an issue. And I think that we've addressed the issues with you, and that's it. It's just if again, there's ways to handle it, and a lot of people have handled it very, very well when they say there's something they like or they don't like or they see more of or see less of, and we try to work with that. We try to keep everything in mind. We obviously can't keep everybody happy, but we try to do the best we can for everybody, and so all the feedback has been great, and we look forward to doing at least another year of this, if all goes well,
Yep.
in the whole bit. So let's wrap this up. So we're living by the numbers. It is episode 48 of the Digital to Dice podcast. It's our 1 year anniversary show here in July of 2020.
And thanks to Metal Church, who gave Dave specific permission in episode 4 or 5.
Episode 2.
Episode 2. So really early on.
Two or 3. Yeah, it was early on. I asked them. I just wanted a good professional intro, and the one I was using was just my old band. But I think it's just a nice energetic intro and energetic outro for the show that gets us pumped up to listen to the show, and hopefully it does with you guys too. But anyway, digitaltodice.com is our website. 978-751-DICE is the Dice line, and facebook.com/group/digitaltodice. Join us there. Thanks, Ron. Thank you for being here for the whole year.
Oh, my pleasure. Let's on and upward to year 2.
All right, we'll talk to everybody later. Bye-bye.